Hi and welcome to the Conscious Hearth. I'm Sabine. This is part 2 of local folklore and forgotten legends. Today is all about King Arthur and the sleeping sovereign in Britain and beyond. So I think most people are somewhat familiar with the legend of King Arthur, which plays a big part of mystical, historical in Britain's history. Lots of people have tried to find evidence, facts, shall we say, about the legend of it. Now, some people believe in it, some people don't. Now, is it just a lovely story about a fair king, the true sovereign of this land? Or was it actual fact, a history, part of history, factual history of Britain? Nobody can answer that, I guess, not that I heard of it. As I said, many people have tried to find actual physical facts, whether that is in written words or archaeological diggings or research done. Now, what we do know is that King Arthur has been first, I think in the 1400s, firstly been written in a book by an author, which I can't recall what the name of the author was, to be fair. I've grown up with the stories about King Arthur and his Knights of Round Table, the mystical Avalon, and since living in Britain or England for 26 years now, you find all over the place the names like Camelot for pubs, areas where Camelot, his castle, is supposed to be. There are stories about Glastonbury Tor, which is on a mount, and which part of that is actually that could be the island of Avalon. Going back thousands of years, this actually was an island and the rest of it was underwater. So you will find little specks here and there. If you piece them together like a puzzle, they do make more sense. I think the whole truth, possibility that it will come out eventually, I don't know. I believe in it. I believe in the legend of King Arthur, and it's certainly the values of that story or legend or truth, whatever, the values of it have really a resonance in me and a lot of other people, and I think that is one of the reasons why this so-called story, not or fairy tale, not really dying down, because of the fairness of it, the spirituality of it. Glastonbury is undoubtedly one of the most spiritual places I've known and have actually visited, which is very little experience, physical. But on the other hand, there is also a lot of so-called spirituality turning up and coming out of the woodworks, which are not really genuine and coming from the heart like it's supposed to be or is. So yeah, going back to King Arthur. Now, after he was mortally wounded in that battle with Mordred, he was supposed to be returned to Avalon and his wounds be tended, and so does the legend go, that he is the sleeping sovereign, the true king of England, Britain, to be returning at a time when England is in need and in deep peril. Now, we will see this legend goes across the world, and there are lots of places associated with King Arthur. It's definitely a fascinating story or fascinating legend, and I do believe it has been eventually true. Certainly not in the 1400s, possibly more going back to the 4th or 5th century, if not even further. I don't know. Parts is that King Arthur was a being, an entity who came from Atlantis originally and just incarnated in that time or in that personality to help humanity. And I think that is for me the outlook to look at. Also Merlin, who was a great sage sorcerer, and I think it has definitely some truth in it, in whichever way or form, because the whole storyline, the whole legend is so spiritual that it resonates with a lot of people even today, even it's supposed to be in medieval times. And because of all the values of the cooperations between the knights, how these magical things happened with Merlin, how Arthur's conception was coming about. That's another mystical part. Then the Lady of the Sea, Avalon, the mystical island. So there is really a lot of mystic around this whole story. There's been lots of books written about. That's how I came first across it as a teenager, reading about these stories. And I think the core lesson for me is about the values. Values we really need today. That we are all better together and not separate. That being truthful, that with each other, to ourselves, to how to best to describe this without getting into trouble with the platform itself. Just to be your truthful thing, do things from love and not from a negative or greed point. It's not about gaining popularity or money. It's not about that. For me, King Arthur's story and his Knights of the Round Table, it's about the values, about friendship, about cooperation, about love. Even the outcome of the whole story was the negative side then, because it fell all apart because of that. Some of these not out. And for me, as I say, the lesson is about together, when we work together from love, from unity, we can achieve great things. And we do not need, it's not about the greed which pulls us apart and separates us. what then is being used to control us. It's about fear then, and all of these negative things to be true. It's why all this system crumble now. But yeah, so never more than now, the mystical way of King Arthur, Merlin, Guinevere, the Knights of the Round Table, lots and lots of it resonates with today, and I will leave it at that. Let me know what you think about King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table and the whole history, legend, fairy tale, story, whatever you want to call it. Let me know what you think about this, and I will see you soon. Thank you.